Man, I'm so ready for this semester to be over with.
Yeah, I can't wait for finals to be over.
Yeah, man. But you guys know there's one more thing we got to do before we call it quits.
What?
A one,
a two, a 1, 2, 3.
Now we're just playing. I'm Shay Cohorn.
I'm Keenan Wyatt.
I'm Trey Segman.
I'm Sam Mitchell.
And this is the Bostock versus Clayton County case.
So now we're going to do the introduction. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the background of the Bostock versus Clayton County case. Gerald Bostock was an official of a juvenile court for Clayton County, Georgia since 2003. In early April of 2013, his job discovered that he had been participating in gay recreational softball league, and they decided to fire him shortly after. At this time, Georgia had no law in place to protect the LGBTQ community from discrimination, and because of this, he decided to sue Clayton County for sexual discrimination, more specifically under the theory of disparate treatment, which we talked about in class, the Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The lower courts followed the 11th Circuit past precedent that the Title VII did not cover employment discrimination based on sexual orientation. There were other similar court cases dealing with the same Title VII issues that were also overturned as well. Hey, do you know Santa Claus' super fair cousin?
No, who is it?
Equal Protection Clause.
Oh!
Yeah.
Now we will be getting into the meat of this presentation and talking about equal protection and how it affected Bostock versus Clayton County. So, what is the Equal Protection Clause? The Equal Protection Clause refers to the idea that a governmental body may not deny people equal protection of its governing laws. The governing body state must treat an individual in the same manner as others in similar conditions and circumstances. So, how does the Equal Protection Clause affect this case specifically? In the majority opinion, Justice Neil Gosher, writing for a 6-3 majority, held that discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation or gender identity is a form of sex discrimination prohibited by Title VII. The court concluded that when an employer fires an employee for being gay or transgender, they are in a sense, discriminating against the individual because of their sex. Next, the decision in Bostock versus Clayton County is significant in the context of equal protection because it extends workplace protection to LGBTQ individuals, ensuring that they are offered the same anti-discrimination rights as other employees under Title VII. The ruling emphasizes the principle of equal protection under the law and reinforces the idea that discrimination based on sex, including sexual orientation and gender identity, is not permissible in the workplace.
Hey, how do you measure a lawyer's hatred for Christmas?
How?
By his level of scrutiny.
Oh.
Before, we have the level of scrutiny for the Bostock versus Clayton County case. And for this case, the Supreme Court did not explicitly apply a specific level of scrutiny, such as strict scrutiny or intermediate scrutiny. The court's decision focused more on the plain language of the Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which forbids discrimination because of sex. Now, it is also important to note that while Bostock did not explicitly label its analysis as intermediate scrutiny, the legal reasoning and analysis shared similarities with this standard. The decision was rooted in the idea that there had to be a substantial connection between the discrimination and an actual government interest, much like the intermediate scrutiny standard in law. Here we have the exceptions for the case. Now, in the Bostock versus Clayton County case, the Supreme Court did not explicitly carve out exceptions to the prohibition of employment discrimination based on sexual orientation or gender identity under the Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The decision was broad in its interpretation, and it stated that discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation or gender identity is inherently a form of sex discrimination and is therefore covered by the existing language of Title VII. Now, the court did not provide specific exceptions or limitations to the interpretation, but rather the decision focused on the plain language of the statutory language and concluded that Title VII's prohibition on sex discrimination extends to discrimination based on sexual orientation or gender identity. Now, it's worth noting that the decision was specific to the employment context and the interpretation of Title VII. While it had significant implications for workplace discrimination, the ruling did not address other potential exceptions or limitations in different legal contexts.
Bro, do you know what happened in Bostock versus Clayton County? Been talking a lot about the case, and now it's time to find out the outcome. In Bostock versus Clayton County, the outcome was ruled in favor of Gerald Bostock. The Supreme Court, in a 6-3 decision, ruled that Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 prohibits employment discrimination based on sexual orientation or gender identity. The majority opinion, written by Justice Neil Garouche, stated that discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation or gender identity is inherently a form of sex discrimination, which is prohibited by Title VII. This decision extended federal employment protections to LGBTQ+ individuals, marking a significant legal milestone for the rights of the LGBTQ+ community in the workplace. We have found the conclusion of the case to be on par ethically as it is legally. It is in our opinion that no person should, in any situation and on any basis, be discriminated against within or outside of the workplace. Well, this is what we think about the case, but we'd love to know what you guys think.
We really appreciate you guys taking the time to learn from this presentation, and we hope you take something away from this.
We laughed, we've cried, but we've had good times.
Thank you for watching, and have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.